My brother slept with my girlfriend 26 years ago and married her. My daughter wanted them at her wedding. My response left everyone speechless. Hey Reddit, my brother betrayed me with my girlfriend 26 years ago, married her, and now my daughter wants them at her wedding. I gave her an answer that made everyone lose their minds. Here's how this mess unfolded. I'm Blake, 46 male, and this story starts way back when I was 20 years old. That's when I discovered my girlfriend had been sleeping with my younger brother Kyle, not some random dude. My own flesh and blood. The betrayal didn't just hurt, it burned. Like someone took a blowtorch to everything I thought I knew about family loyalty and trust. I told Kyle right then and there that he was dead to me. Not my brother, not family, just some guy who happened to share DNA. My family never got it. They acted like time would magically fix everything. Like betrayal has an expiration date or something. They'd invite both of us to holidays and act shocked when I wouldn't show. Eventually, I made it clear, if they had to choose between inviting me or Kyle to family events, they should pick him. Because I refuse to breathe the same air as that guy ever again. That's been my line in the sand for 26 years. Non-negotiable. Not up for discussion. Not interested in healing or moving forward or any other motivational poster nonsense people love throwing around. Fast forward to last month. My daughter Hannah sits me down with this serious look on her face. She's getting married next spring, which should be happy news. Except the words that came out of her mouth made my blood pressure spike. She's inviting Kyle and his family to her wedding. Not just Kyle. Kyle and Rachel. Yeah, that Rachel, my ex-girlfriend who he married after stabbing me in the back. And here's the kicker. Hannah's been secretly building a relationship with them for the past 4 years. Behind my back. Meeting up for coffee, having dinners, playing happy family. She wants her cousin, Kyle and Rachel's daughter, the product of their affair, to be the flower girl. I sat there processing this information while my daughter looked at me with this hopeful expression like I was supposed to smile and give my blessing or something. If Kyle's invited, I won't be there, I told her straight up, and I won't be paying for the wedding either. Hannah's face went from hopeful to furious in about 2 seconds. Started going off about how I was holding on to the past, making her wedding about my grudges, being selfish and unreasonable. The argument escalated fast. Voices raised, doors slammed, Hannah left crying. My phone started blowing up within hours. First was my ex-wife Jennifer, calling me every name in the book. Said Hannah was devastated, that I was being ridiculous, that it happened decades ago, and I needed to get over it. Then my parents jumped in with their 2 cents. Same song, different verse. I'm being unreasonable. Kyle's changed. Time heals all wounds. Family is forever. All the greatest hits from the Enabler's playbook. I stopped answering calls, let them go to voicemail, deleted texts without reading them. My girlfriend Lisa was more diplomatic about it, suggested maybe I should reconsider, apologized to smooth things over, said I might permanently damage my relationship with Hannah over this. But here's what nobody seemed to get. This wasn't about holding a grudge. This was about basic respect and boundaries. Kyle didn't accidentally trip and fall onto my girlfriend. He made a choice. They both did. And now everyone expected me to pretend it never happened just because enough calendar pages had turned. The whole situation left me feeling isolated, but weirdly calm. If standing my ground meant losing relationships, maybe those relationships weren't built on anything solid to begin with. Let me paint you a picture of what happened 26 years ago, so you understand why I'm not interested in playing happy family. I was 20, working part-time at an auto shop while taking community college classes. Had dreams of maybe opening my own place someday, or at least becoming a master mechanic. The work was honest, paid decent, and I was good at it. My boss Jake had started teaching me the business side of things, talking about potential partnerships down the road. Rachel was my girlfriend of 2 years. We'd met in high school during junior year when she transferred from across town. She was beautiful, smart, funny. Everyone said we were that couple, the ones who'd probably get married right out of high school but waited to be responsible about it. We talked about futures and plans and building something together. I'd been saving for an engagement ring, had it picked out at the jewelry store downtown, putting money away every paycheck. Figured I'd propose on her 21st birthday, maybe 6 months away. We'd looked at apartments together, talked about what kind of wedding her parents could afford, discussed whether we wanted kids right away or wait a few years. Kyle was 18, still living at home, working retail at the mall and supposedly figuring out his life. He dropped out of community college after 1 semester, said it wasn't for him. My parents were disappointed but tried to be supportive, kept saying he'd find his path eventually, that not everyone was cut out for traditional education. He'd always been the charming one growing up. Smooth talker, knew how to work a room, could convince anyone of anything with that smile and those quick comebacks. My parents loved that about him. Saw it as social skills instead of what it actually was. The ability to manipulate people into giving him what he wanted. Looking back, the signs were there. I just didn't want to see them. Kyle started offering Rachel rides when my car was in the shop, which happened frequently because I drove a beat-up truck that was more rust than metal. He'd swing by her workplace, save her the bus ride home. Made sense at the time. He was my brother. She was my girlfriend. Why wouldn't I want them to get along? They'd joke around when she came over to the house. Inside jokes I wasn't part of. References to conversations they'd had without me. Little touches on the arm when they laughed. Rachel would sit next to Kyle at family dinners instead of next to me. Said she wanted to get to know my family better. My best friend Tyler mentioned once that he'd seen them having coffee together at the mall. Probably just hanging out, he said, but there was something in his voice that suggested he didn't quite believe it. I'd brushed it off. Told him Kyle and Rachel were friends. No big deal. Looking back, I was an idiot, but I trusted both of them. Why wouldn't I? He was my brother, She was my girlfriend. Some things should be sacred, right? Wrong. Found out the classic way. Came home early from work one day because we'd finished a job ahead of schedule. Jake had let me leave at noon instead of 5. Said I'd earned it after pulling a double shift the day before. I was planning to surprise Rachel, maybe take her for an early dinner somewhere nice. Walked into my parents' house. I was still living there trying to save money for that engagement ring and eventual apartment. And the place was quiet. Too quiet. My parents were at work. Should have been empty except for Kyle, who had the day off. Then I heard noises from upstairs. From Kyle's room. Not subtle noises either. The kind of sounds that made my stomach drop before my brain even processed what they meant. I stood at the bottom of the stairs for probably 30 seconds. Frozen. Part of me wanted to turn around and leave. Pretend I hadn't heard anything. Walk away and live in blissful ignorance. But I couldn't. Had to know for sure. Climbed those stairs feeling like I was walking to my own execution. Each step was harder than the last. My hands were shaking when I reached Kyle's door. Could hear them clearly now. No mistaking what was happening behind that door. Opened it without knocking. Didn't even think about it. Just turned the handle and pushed. There they were, my brother and my girlfriend, in his bed that I'd helped him move into that room 5 years ago. In the middle of the afternoon like they didn't have a care in the world. Like they weren't destroying everything I'd built my future around. The look on their faces when they saw me was almost comical. Rachel started crying immediately, grabbing for sheets to cover herself. Her makeup was smeared, hair everywhere. She looked terrified. Good. Kyle had this deer in headlights expression that quickly shifted to something worse. Defiance. Like he'd been caught, but wasn't sorry about it. Like the only thing he regretted was getting caught. I stood there in the doorway, keys still in my hand. My work shirt still had grease stains from the morning. I'd been planning to shower and change before surprising Rachel with that dinner. The irony wasn't lost on me. How long? I asked. My voice came out surprisingly steady, calmer than I felt. Like I was asking about the weather instead of watching my entire world implode. Rachel couldn't look at me, kept her eyes down, tears streaming. Kyle met my eyes with this challenge in his expression, daring me to react, wanting me to lose my temper so he could play the victim. Does it matter? Kyle said. Not sorry, not apologetic, just challenging. Yeah, it matters. 3 months, Rachel whispered, still not looking up. 3 months, 90 days, a quarter of a year. Dozens of times I'd kissed her goodnight, held her hand at the movies, made plans for our future while she was sleeping with my brother behind my back. All those rides home from work, all those coffee dates at the mall, all those inside jokes I wasn't part of. I did the math in my head without meaning to. 3 months ago was right around when she'd started being distant, when she'd canceled plans more often, when she'd said she needed space to focus on work and school. I'd respected that, gave her room, trusted her. What an idiot. I didn't yell, didn't throw things, didn't give Kyle the reaction he was clearly waiting for. Just stood there processing the complete destruction of my trust in everyone I cared about, processing how many lies I'd been told, how many times I'd defended their friendship to Tyler, how close I'd come to proposing to someone who was sleeping with my brother. The engagement ring I'd been saving for felt like it was burning a hole in my mental pocket. All that money, all those extra shifts, all those plans, gone. Then I looked at Kyle, really looked at him, and saw something in his eyes that made everything clear. He wasn't sorry. He was satisfied. Like he'd won some competition I didn't even know we were having. Like taking my girlfriend was some kind of achievement. That's when I said the words that would define our relationship forever. You're dead to me. Not angry, Not screaming, just flat statement of fact. Kyle was dead. My brother was dead. The person I'd grown up with, shared a room with until I was 12, defended against bullies, helped with homework, that person didn't exist anymore. Kyle's expression faltered, like he'd expected anger, expected drama, expected something he could work with. He didn't know what to do with cold finality. Rachel was full-on sobbing now. Blake, please, let me explain. There's nothing to explain. We're done. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't show up at my work. We're done. I turned and walked out. Didn't slam the door. Didn't throw anything. Just closed it quietly behind me and went downstairs to pack my stuff. Tyler showed up 40 minutes later. I'd called him from my cell, just said I needed help moving. He took one look at my face and didn't ask questions. Just started loading boxes into his truck. It took 3 trips to move everything I owned to his apartment. His roommate was cool with me crashing on the couch until I found something permanent. Tyler kept asking if I was okay, if I wanted to talk about it. I told him Rachel had been sleeping with Kyle for 3 months. He stopped asking questions after that. Rachel tried calling that night, 37 times according to my phone. Left voicemails crying, begging me to let her explain, saying it was a mistake, saying she loved me. I deleted them all without listening past the first 10 seconds. Kyle called once. I answered. We need to talk about this like adults, he said. There's nothing to talk about. You're dead to me. Come on, don't be dramatic. I hung up, blocked his number, blocked Rachel's number, changed my work schedule so I wouldn't run into her on her way to the bus stop. Tyler asked if I wanted to go out, get my mind off things. I said no. I just wanted to work. Throw myself into something that made sense. Something with clear problems and clear solutions. Something that didn't involve trusting people who'd stab you in the back. Jake noticed I was working more hours, taking the worst shifts, volunteering for the jobs nobody else wanted. He pulled me aside one day and asked if everything was okay at home. Home's fine, I lied. Just saving money. For that ring? No, for a new place. Living situation changed. Jake nodded like he understood. Take care of yourself, kid. Job's important, but it's not everything. But right then, the job was everything. It was the only thing that made sense. The only thing I could count on. Show up, do the work, get paid, no lies, no betrayal. Just honest labor and fair compensation. Some betrayals don't deserve second chances. That was the lesson I learned at 20. The lesson I'd carry for the next 26 years. The lesson everyone seemed to think I should have unlearned by now. But some lessons stick. My parents tried to stay neutral, which is just another way of choosing the betrayer over the betrayed. They'd invite both of us to holidays. When I wouldn't come if Kyle was there, they'd get upset with me for causing problems, instead of being mad at him for sleeping with his brother's girlfriend. Eventually, I made my ultimatum clear. Choose Kyle for family events. I'll spend them somewhere else. No drama, no arguments, just physical distance from people who thought what he did was forgivable. Kyle and Rachel got married 2 years later, had their kid a year after that, built a whole life on the foundation of my destroyed relationship, and everyone acted like that was fine, normal even. Now, 26 years later, that same lack of accountability was showing up in my daughter's wedding planning, history repeating itself in the most predictable way possible. 2 weeks after the initial blow-up with Hannah, I came home from work on a regular Thursday expecting a normal evening. Maybe order some food, watch some TV, decompress from the day. Instead, I walked into my living room and found Kyle and Rachel sitting on my couch like they belonged there. I froze in the doorway. My keys were still in my hand, door still open behind me. What the hell is this? Hannah jumped up from the chair she'd been sitting in. Dad, don't freak out. I invited them over so we could talk. Talk? I looked between the 3 of them. You ambushed me in my own house. It's not an ambush, Hannah insisted. We just need to have a conversation like adults. Kyle stood up slowly. He'd aged, obviously. More gray in his hair, some extra weight around the middle. But he still had that same look in his eyes, like he thought he could charm his way through anything. Blake, it's been 26 years, he started. Don't you think it's time we moved past this? No. Rachel cleared her throat. She'd aged too, but tried harder to hide it. We understand you were hurt. Stop. I held up a hand. You don't get to minimize this. You don't get to tell me how I should feel, or how long I should feel it. Hannah moved between us like a referee. Dad, please, just hear them out. They want to apologize. They've had 26 years to apologize. Little late now. Kyle tried again. Look, we made mistakes when we were young. We were kids. People change. Kids? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. You were 18, old enough to know that sleeping with your brother's girlfriend was wrong? Old enough to understand betrayal? Can we please just sit down and talk about this calmly? Hannah pleaded. I looked at my daughter. Really looked at her. She had her mother's eyes, but my stubborn jaw. Right now, that stubbornness was aimed at forcing a reconciliation nobody but her wanted. Hannah, you want to have a relationship with Kyle? That's your choice. You're an adult, but don't expect me to participate. And definitely don't ambush me in my own home. Dad, I'm getting married. I want my whole family there. Then you have a choice to make, him or me, because I'm not going if he's there. And I'm not paying for a wedding where I'm treated like the problem for having boundaries. Rachel started crying. Kyle put his arm around her in this protective gesture that made my jaw clench. Hannah looked like she might cry too. You're being selfish, she said, voice shaking. No, I'm being honest. There's a difference. I turned and walked back out my own front door. Stayed at Lisa's place that night. Came home the next morning to find them gone. But the damage was done. My phone was full of messages. Hannah saying I'd embarrassed her. Jennifer saying I'd ruined any chance at family unity. My mother saying I'd always been too sensitive about Kyle. Too sensitive. Like my brother sleeping with my girlfriend was just some minor social faux pas I should have shrugged off. The messages kept coming all week. Family members weighing in with their opinions. Most of them thought I was being unreasonable. A few, my cousin Daniel, my Aunt Patricia, reached out privately to say they understood my position, even if they couldn't say so publicly. Your brother was wrong, Daniel told me over coffee. But the family's invested in pretending it never happened. Makes them uncomfortable to acknowledge it. That's their problem, not mine. I know. Just warning you. They're going to pressure Hannah to uninvite you instead of Kyle. Easier than dealing with the real issue. He was right. The pressure campaign intensified. Hannah called asking to meet in person. I agreed because I'm not completely heartless, even if everyone else thought I was. We met at a diner halfway between our places. Neutral territory. Hannah looked tired, stressed. Wedding planning was taking its toll even before the family drama added gasoline to the fire. Dad, I don't want to choose between you and Uncle Kyle. I'm not asking you to choose. I'm telling you my boundaries. If he's there, I won't be. That's the same thing. I sipped my coffee. No, it's not. I'm not telling you who to invite. I'm telling you what my limits are. You get to decide what happens next. Hannah twisted her napkin into shreds. Everyone thinks you're being unreasonable. Everyone? Mom, Grandma, Grandpa, Kyle, Rachel. Even Lisa thinks you should reconsider. What do you think? She looked surprised by the question. I think I don't understand why you can't just get over it. It was so long ago. Has your fiancé ever cheated on you? No, of course not. Imagine he did. Imagine he slept with your sister, if you had one, for months, behind your back, then married her. Would you get over it? Hannah's face went pale. That's different. How? Because that would be about me. This happened to you decades ago, and I'm supposed to forget it happened because enough time passed? That's not how betrayal works, Hannah. There's no statute of limitations on being stabbed in the back by family. But Kyle's changed. He's not that person anymore. How would you know? You've been secretly meeting with him for 4 years. Did you ever ask him why he did it? Did he ever actually take responsibility? Or did he just give you excuses? Hannah didn't answer, which was answer enough. Let me guess, I continued. He told you we were young, made mistakes. People change. Your dad's too sensitive, holding grudges. Am I close? He said he regretted hurting you. That's not the same as taking responsibility. Regret is feeling bad about consequences. Responsibility is acknowledging you made a deliberate choice to betray someone who trusted you. Hannah was crying now. Dad, I just want my wedding to be perfect. I want everyone there. I understand that. But some things are more important than perfect family photos. Like self-respect. Like boundaries. Like not rewarding people who've shown they don't respect you. So that's it? You're just not coming? If Kyle's there, no, I'm not coming. And I'm not paying for a wedding where I'm treated like the villain for having standards. That's not fair. Life's not fair, Hannah. But that's my decision. You get to make yours. We sat in silence for a minute. Hannah wiped her eyes with the shredded napkin. I don't want to lose you over this, she finally said. Then don't. But I'm not compromising on Kyle. That's my line in the sand. Has been for 26 years. Everyone knew it. Nobody gets to act surprised now. Hannah left without saying goodbye. I finished my coffee alone, staring out the window at the parking lot and wondering how family relationships got so complicated. My phone buzzed. Text from Lisa. How did it go? About as expected. Want company tonight? Yeah, that'd be good. The next few weeks were tense. Hannah wasn't speaking to me. Jennifer kept calling to yell about my stubbornness. My parents were deeply disappointed in my lack of forgiveness. But something unexpected happened. Hannah started digging into why Kyle was so eager to attend her wedding. She mentioned this casually to Lisa during one of their coffee dates. Yeah, my girlfriend stayed in contact with my daughter even during our fight. Said Kyle had been surprisingly pushy about getting an invitation. Not just accepting it, but actively lobbying for it. Lisa, being smarter than everyone gave her credit for, asked some follow-up questions. Turned out Kyle had been estranged from his own son for the past 3 years. Some falling out over the kid's choice of career or girlfriend or something. The son had cut off contact with both Kyle and Rachel. Kyle saw Hannah's wedding as an opportunity to reconnect. Get in front of family members who might help facilitate reconciliation with his son. Use the wedding as social currency. He wasn't pushing to attend because he cared about Hannah. He was using her wedding as a networking opportunity to fix his own broken relationships. When Hannah found this out, she was furious. Called me up crying. Not sad crying, angry crying. You were right, she said without preamble. Uncle Kyle wasn't pushing to come because he cared about my wedding. He wanted to see family members who might help him reconnect with his son. How'd you find out? Aunt Patricia told me. Apparently, it's been common knowledge in the family for weeks. Everyone knew except me. I felt something loosen in my chest. Not satisfaction exactly. Just relief that Hannah was seeing what I'd been trying to tell her all along. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. I feel so stupid. I thought he actually wanted to be part of my life, to be a real uncle. But he was just using me. Hannah, that's not on you. Kyle's good at making people believe what he wants them to believe. Always has been. Is that why you cut him off? Because he was manipulative? That was part of it. The betrayal was the main thing, but yeah, Kyle's always had this talent for making his problems everyone else's responsibility, for charming his way out of consequences. Hannah was quiet for a moment. I uninvited him, and Rachel. Told them they weren't welcome at my wedding. How'd that go? About as well as you'd expect. Rachel cried. Kyle got angry, said I was being immature and vindictive, that I was just doing this to please you. What did you tell him? That I was doing it because I deserved guests who actually cared about me, not people trying to use my wedding for their own agenda. I'm proud of you. Yeah? Yeah. That took guts. I know family pressure is intense. Speaking of which, does your offer still stand? About paying for the wedding? I smiled. Yeah, kiddo, it stands. Thanks, Dad. And I'm sorry. For not believing you. For ambushing you with them at your house. For everything. Water under the bridge. Just glad you figured it out. After we hung up, I sat there for a minute just breathing. The weight I'd been carrying for weeks suddenly felt lighter. Hannah got it now. Understood why some boundaries aren't negotiable. Lisa came home from work and found me smiling. Good news? Hannah uninvited Kyle and Rachel. Because of what I found out? Yeah. She finally saw what I've been seeing for 26 years. Lisa hugged me. Proud of you for not backing down. That couldn't have been easy. Nothing about this was easy, but some things are worth standing firm on. The family reaction to Hannah's decision was predictably dramatic. My mother called sobbing about family unity. My father sent a long email about forgiveness and moving forward. Jennifer was oddly quiet, which meant she was probably rethinking her earlier position. Kyle sent Hannah a series of texts ranging from apologetic to accusatory. She showed me some of them. Lots of, I thought you were mature enough to understand, and your father's poisoned you against me, mixed with, I was just trying to support you. Classic Kyle. Never taking actual responsibility. Always deflecting. But the extended family split in interesting ways. My cousin Daniel publicly supported Hannah's decision on social media, which surprised everyone. Aunt Patricia called to say she was proud of Hannah for setting boundaries. A few family members went the other direction. My uncle, Kyle's godfather, posted something passive-aggressive about respecting elders and honoring family. My mother's sister sent Hannah a long message about forgiveness. Hannah handled it like a champ, responded politely but firmly to everyone, made it clear this was her decision, not mine, and she wasn't interested in debating it. The wedding planning continued. Hannah and her fiancé, good kid named Thomas, who worked in accounting, picked a venue, chose flowers, all that stuff. I didn't really understand but paid for anyway. Lisa helped coordinate with Jennifer to make sure everything ran smoothly, despite our complicated history. Turned out Lisa and Jennifer actually got along well, which was both weird and convenient. 2 months before the wedding, Kyle made one last attempt. He showed up at my workplace. Just walked right into the auto shop where I'd been working for the past 15 years, now as part owner. Asked if we could talk. My business partner Frank took one look at my face and quietly disappeared into the office. What do you want, Kyle? I wanted to apologize. For real this time. Little late for that. I know. But I mean it. What I did back then with Rachel, it was wrong. I was young and stupid and selfish. I've carried that guilt for 26 years. That's your burden to carry, not my problem. I'm not asking you to forgive me. Just, just hear me out. I crossed my arms. You've got 2 minutes. Kyle took a breath. I knew you loved Rachel. I knew being with her was a betrayal. But I did it anyway because I wanted something you had. You were always the responsible one, the one who had his life together. I was jealous. That's not an apology. That's an explanation. There's a difference. I'm getting there. What I did was inexcusable. I destroyed your trust, broke up your relationship, damaged our whole family. And instead of owning it, I married Rachel and acted like it was all fine. Like we'd fallen in love naturally instead of through betrayal. Still not hearing an apology. I'm sorry. Genuinely, deeply sorry for what I did to you. You deserved better from your brother. I stood there looking at him. Part of me wanted to accept it, to believe he'd actually changed, but the rest of me remembered 26 years of enabling family members, of watching him face no real consequences, of being told I was the problem for not forgiving him. Okay, I finally said. Okay? I accept that you're sorry. Doesn't change anything, but I believe you feel bad about it. Kyle looked confused. So, we're good? No, we're not good. You apologized. I accepted it. That doesn't mean we have a relationship. Doesn't mean I trust you. Doesn't mean I want you in my life. But I apologized. Right. And I said I accept it. But an apology doesn't erase 26 years of betrayal and consequences. It's a start, maybe, but it's not a magic reset button. So what? We're just never going to be brothers again? We haven't been brothers since I was 20. That's not changing because you finally feel guilty enough to say sorry. Kyle's face hardened. Hannah was right about you. You are stubborn. Yep, and I'm okay with that. He left without another word. I went back to work. Frank came out of the office once Kyle's car pulled away. That looked intense. He apologized. And nothing. Some things can't be fixed with sorry. Frank nodded. Fair enough. Want me to ban him from the property? Nah. He's not coming back. He got what he came for. The opportunity to feel like he tried. Now he can tell everyone I'm the unreasonable one for not accepting his apology. You think he'll do that? Absolutely. But I don't care anymore. And weirdly, I really didn't. For 26 years, I'd carried this anger, this hurt, this sense of betrayal. Kyle's fake apology hadn't fixed any of that. But something about watching him fumble through it, seeing how hollow it was, released something in me. He was still a manipulator, still self-centered, still the same guy who'd betrayed me decades ago. But he didn't have power over me anymore. I wasn't angry, just done. Lisa noticed the difference that night. You seem lighter. Kyle showed up at work. What? Did you punch him? I laughed. No, he apologized. Sort of. How'd that go? Exactly like you'd expect. He said sorry, I accepted it. He got mad that I didn't immediately forgive everything. And how do you feel? Fine. Actually fine. He doesn't matter to me anymore. The apology didn't matter. He doesn't have any hold over me. Lisa squeezed my hand. That's growth, or just exhaustion. Either way, I'll take it. Hannah's wedding day arrived on a perfect spring Saturday. Clear skies, comfortable temperature, everything a bride could want. I wore the tux Hannah had picked out. Lisa looked amazing in her dress. Jennifer was cordial when we arrived at the venue, focused more on making sure Hannah's day went smoothly than on our complicated history. Thomas's family was there. Nice people, welcomed me warmly. My side of the family was smaller after Hannah's uninvitations, but the people who came were genuinely happy to celebrate. Kyle and Rachel weren't there, obviously. A few family members had chosen to skip in solidarity with them, my uncle mostly, plus a couple of cousins who'd always been closer to Kyle. But it didn't matter. The people who needed to be there were there. Hannah looked incredible walking down the aisle. I walked her down since that was tradition, trying not to cry like every dad at every wedding ever. Thomas looked at her like she was the only person in the world. That's all a father can ask for, really. The ceremony was simple, heartfelt. The reception was fun. Good food, decent music, people actually enjoying themselves instead of dealing with family drama. During the father-daughter dance, Hannah leaned in and whispered, "Thank you for standing your ground. I get it now. I'm just glad you're happy. I am. And I'm glad you're here. That's what matters." Later that night, after the cake was cut and the first dances were done, Aunt Patricia pulled me aside. "You did good, Blake. Just showed up and paid the bills." "No, I mean with Kyle, with the boundaries. Too many people in this family enable bad behavior because it's easier than confronting it. You didn't do that. Didn't feel like I had much choice. You always had a choice. You chose self-respect over family peace. That takes courage. I didn't know what to say to that. Patricia patted my arm and went back to the dance floor. The night wound down. Hannah and Thomas left for their honeymoon. Guests slowly departed. Lisa and I were among the last to leave, helping clean up stray decorations and forgotten coats. You okay? Lisa asked as we drove home. Yeah, actually, yeah. That was a good day. Despite everything? Because of everything. Hannah learned something important. About boundaries. About not letting people use you. That's worth more than a perfect family photo. Lisa was quiet for a minute. Then, your brother's an idiot. I laughed. Yeah, but he's not my problem anymore. The aftermath of the wedding was quieter than I expected. Kyle sent Hannah an email a week later. She showed it to me. Long rambling thing about how hurt he was, how he'd tried to make things right, how the family would never be whole without forgiveness. Basic manipulation disguised as vulnerability. Hannah deleted it without responding. I'm done being his project, she told me. My mother tried one more time to facilitate a reconciliation. Asked me to meet her for lunch, which I did because I'm not completely heartless. She spent an hour explaining how Kyle was struggling, how his son still wasn't talking to him, how maybe I could be the bigger person. Mom, I am being the bigger person. I'm not actively wishing bad things on him, but I'm also not letting him back into my life. Those are my boundaries. But he's your brother. He was my brother, past tense. People don't get to betray you and then demand you pretend it never happened just because you share DNA. She looked disappointed but didn't push further. We finished lunch talking about Hannah's honeymoon plans and Jennifer's new job. Normal stuff. Better than rehashing old wounds. Frank offered me a partnership expansion at the shop. More money, more responsibility, more stake in the business. I accepted. Used some of the extra income to help Hannah and Thomas with their first house down payment. Life moved forward. Not perfect, but good. I had Lisa, had my work, had a decent relationship with my daughter that had actually gotten stronger through all this mess. Kyle tried to friend request me on social media 6 months after the wedding. I declined without responding. Some doors, once closed, stay closed. Hannah got pregnant the following year. Called me excited, nervous, asking for advice. I told her the same thing my dad had told me before everything went wrong with Kyle. Love them unconditionally, but don't let them walk all over you. Boundaries matter, even with kids. She asked if I'd thought about Kyle being in her child's life. I said that was her decision, not mine. But I wouldn't be at family events where he was present. Same boundary as always. That's fair, she said. I don't think I want him around anyway. Not after everything. Whatever you decide, I'll support it. Thanks, Dad. My grandson was born that fall. Perfect little guy with his mother's eyes and his father's nose. I held him in the hospital and felt something settle in my chest. This was what family should be. Love without conditions. Support without manipulation. Trust without betrayal. Kyle sent a gift when he heard about the baby. Hannah returned it unopened. I don't want anything from him, she explained. He had his chance, multiple chances. He blew them all. Jennifer asked if I thought Hannah was being too harsh. I said no. She was learning what took me 26 years to accept. Some people don't deserve access to your life, regardless of biological connection. 2 years after the wedding, I got an unexpected call from Daniel. Kyle had been in an accident, nothing life-threatening, but serious enough to put him in the hospital for a few weeks. Family was rallying around him. Are you going to visit? Daniel asked. No. Mom's pretty upset about that. She'll get over it. I'm not changing my boundaries because Kyle got hurt. That's not how this works. Fair. Just wanted to give you a heads up. I appreciated Daniel's straightforward approach. No guilt trip, no manipulation, just information and respect for my decision. My mother called later, as predicted. Tearful appeal about family sticking together in hard times. I listened politely and said I hoped Kyle recovered, but I wouldn't be visiting. He's your brother. He was my brother. A long time ago. That changed when he made his choices. You're really going to hold on to this forever? I'm not holding on to anything, Mom. I'm just not pretending the past didn't happen. There's a difference. She hung up disappointed. I felt nothing. Not anger, not guilt. Just this calm certainty that I'd made the right call 26 years ago, and every day since. Kyle recovered. Life went back to normal. Or whatever passed for normal in my family. Hannah's son turned 1. We had a small party. Lisa, Jennifer, Thomas's family. A few close friends. Simple. Happy. The kind of gathering where everyone actually wanted to be there. No drama, no manipulation, No walking on eggshells around family landmines. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.